Hey, it's Dr. Jodi here. Welcome to this episode. I have a very special guest, Julia Leahy of More Pesto Please on TikTok, here to talk to me and represent your generation. So welcome, Julia, to my show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you because I've been watching in the last 2 years, starting your TikTok channel, More Pesto Please. And I don't know, from my position, I'm observing as an outsider some really important things that you're doing. And I know maybe I don't know if you even realize it, but I brought you on to talk about what you think about what's going on with people your age. And I'm just here to get some thoughts about it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm the best voice of people my age, but I try my best to make people laugh online. So
I think laughter and entertainment is one of the most important things. If you think about throughout human history, being entertained or laughing or some kind of distraction has really gotten us through so many things.
Oh yeah, I mean, humor to me is like the entire basis of my whole personality. But it's like, I don't know, it's just how I like walk in a room, it's how I carry myself. That's just like my go-to like way of relating to other humans.
Yeah, it's relatable. That's what it is. It's like when you tell a story and it's funny, we all are watching or like, it happened to me, or I could relate, or we could imagine what you're feeling. And I think that's a real gift to be able to express yourself or tell stories that way. You're really a storyteller.
Thank you. I mean, you know that I'm a theater kid first and foremost. So this is like my way of, it's, a little bit of performance and just, storytelling is a good just way to put it. And yeah, I don't know. It's like something that I like have kind of stumbled on, but now I like love it. So
yeah. I noticed like your vocabulary, you use these words. I mean, you're a great writer as well. And I think that's what makes the video so brilliant.
Thank you for saying that, because I would love to be, I'm film and TV major right now. I would love to go into comedy writing. So I'm kind of like making these videos like, oh, maybe someone will pick up on the fact that I can write. That would be great. I mean, if I was like a business major, I'd be like, maybe I shouldn't be leaving this digital footprint. But considering this is like what I want to do, I'm just going to run with it.
Absolutely. This is one of the best things you could do, doing what you want to do in your life. You have to show them that you could write, tell a story, have a story arc, carry through, be consistent. Oh, it's saying all the things. I'm so sure. So I have 2 kids in film and media, so I know the drill. I kind of want to go back in school, and I think it would have helped me in my work if I had studied that when I was young. That wasn't really a major when I was young, though.
I know, like communications, media studies, there's like a million. It's all the same thing.
It all blew up from here. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a social worker and I love what I do, so I'm okay. But actually, there's a lot of storytelling in my work, or listening to stories. People are inherently storytellers. So we relate to things and we learn and we remember all of that through stories. So they're very important.
Yeah.
All right. Let me ask you some questions so we get to know you a little bit. What do you think? What is your impression about your generation? I know you said you're not a great representative, but we're all really different and you're just a representative. I appreciate that.
Well, I think there are some really awesome things about my generation. I think that we're more accepting than we've ever been. I think we're kind of challenging what is like set in place, which I think is good. We like challenge what the systems that we're living by, and we kind of challenge authority a little bit, which I think can be good. Not to say we are not very flawed. Yeah, I don't know. I think the only, like, I know it's been said, it's like getting old, but COVID really just like changed everything. It changed how we like talk to each other, how we relate, technology, like how we communicate. It changed everything. I know I had a completely different personality before COVID, I think. And like, yeah, I think our generation, like my generation is kind of struggling like so much with the aftermath of COVID. And the problem is there's no precedent of how to recover. We can't look to anyone for guidance because this has never happened before.
How do you think it changed you? When you say you changed completely, to give us an example. What do you mean?
I don't even know. I look at pictures of myself. I barely recognize myself. I think my appearance changed so much. I think my just way of processing things, my relationship with my friends, my family changed so much. The path I want to go down.
Like they're more important now.
Yeah. I think I in some ways it has changed me for the better. I think that I am a lot closer to my family, but in other ways I think I get like more homesick, I guess, than I did before. I get getting forced back to go home for a year and then like kind of that being my normal for a little bit. I don't know. It changed so much. And I think what destroyed so much. I think there are so many people that are my age and younger and that just can't even, I don't know. I can't talk to each other. It's really tough. And it's hard to articulate because we don't have any way of articulating. We don't have the guidance to do that.
For sure. I see a lot of people. That's why I'm doing this podcast. I see so many people suffering and I really want to give that spark of hope back and show them and we could talk about that for a second, but I'm curious about, it's interesting because you had COVID, then you had the popularity of your TikTok channel. Is it called a channel or just a TikTok?
Yeah, channel's fine.
I'm a little old. Okay. But you had the popularity of that, which changes somebody completely. You had the COVID, pandemic, which changes people completely, has changed people completely. And then you've also, this is a huge time in your life for maturing.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't even know how you decide which of those three has really impacted you the most.
Well, I
differentiate.
I think that, being in college, I think, is such a crazy time in general. I mean, you're leaving home and becoming a human being, becoming independent. And yeah, for something that extreme to happen in that very key time in my life and my peers' lives is I know I'm not doing it justice, but I can't describe the effects it has had. I mean,
it hasn't integrated yet. So you don't even know how to tell that story. Do you think you would have started TikTok though, if you didn't?
I don't know, because I started it over lockdown, and it was a way of me keeping in touch with my friends that I was ripped away from. So I don't know. I'm probably going to guess no.
That's incredible. So you're saying, you're pretty worried. You see that from the people around you, like your peers are really struggling, or is there some people that that just had to drop out of college because they just couldn't?
So I think I'm pretty fortunate with my year, the way I fell, but the year below me had hands down the hardest time. So I had at least a normal freshman year and was sent home March of my freshman year of college. So I kind of was able to integrate into college normally and made friends and for at least 3/4 of a school year before it all got shut down. But for the year below me, they didn't have a normal senior graduation. And I just look back at my senior year in high school, I loved it. And I would have been devastated if I'm in theater, if I couldn't do my last show. Oh my God, I can't even describe the way that would have mentally ravaged me. But then they started college and they're in college. They can't leave their dorms. They have to eat in pods. They're in the same pods so that they don't, have too much contact with other people. You don't make friends. So many of my friends that are the grade below me transferred or dropped out or went home because it's impossible. I think I would have done the exact same thing. I think I just got kind of lucky with the way I fell because at least I had a small group of friends established. And then I think, the year below me and the years after that, not having a normal high school experience and then coming into college with everything so different.
It's just a lot for them to handle. What do you think? You probably noticed some people are doing okay and then some people are really struggling. Do you kind of grok the difference, or what do you think? It's just luck, or did they have more skills or thought of themselves differently?
Honestly, I don't think it has a pattern. I know people who I went to high school with who were like such extroverts and such, they had a plan and whatever, and then COVID happened and they're like totally not where I think they would have thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it like is particular with who it affects. But if this like frames it in any way, I remember, I think maybe the fall of 2020. So a little bit after, like, we're pretty far into lockdown. I was meeting with a new therapist, and it was so hard to find a new therapist because everyone was booked up, because everyone's going to therapy, because everyone's going nuts. And I mean, I have like 4 really close friends I live with, and there's 4 of us total, and we all go to therapy. I think like it just everyone struggled. No one like got away completely unscathed.
Yeah. Yeah. So I noticed that, I talk about my podcast, how, our dopamine stopped hitting. And when we are not used to, like, our dopamine is a training, really. I mean, our dopamine hits and we're like, we like that, and we do it again. And our dopamine hits, we're like, we like that, and we do it again. And for a while when we were in lockdown, it wasn't hitting. And after a while, when it's not hitting, like, you don't really care about doing anything pleasurable. And I think that gets in the way of people. And so they had to push through that back out. But I did notice, that's why I'm interested in your journey, because people who are watching, who are consuming content, are different than people who are creating content in terms of how it charges up our mind, or how it makes us feel a little bit more robust emotionally. And so I see that you're, you could see online when during the process, like, people were trying new recipes or building an obstacle course in their backyard. And then there's people who are just sitting passively and consuming. And that made a huge difference in how they did. Do you think that made a difference in you because you were creating content instead of, just watching it?
Yes and no. I don't think I'm like a black and white case. Because I was finding this new platform and like making these videos and gaining some attention. So that was really cool. And I do think that helped me a little bit. But then at the same time, like, I think of those few months, like right after we got sent home, and that's just like the hardest time of my life ever up until now. Well, no, not meaning like up until now, as if now is terrible. I mean like thus far.
In your life, yeah.
Yeah, hands down. I was seriously struggling with like body image issues, eating and disordered eating, and I like was so unmotivated and so defeated, and it was like just a terrible, terrible time. So yes, I was creating, and no, I'm doing so much better, but I was creating stuff and finding this new voice. And yeah, I do think that helped me, but I think everyone, even the creators,
you were unaffected, of course.
I'm not unaffected.
But this was one of the tools, and it sounds like you had, your therapist, and I don't know what else. I'm sure other tools, and maybe we could talk about that. But you had other ways that helped you get out of there.
Yeah, I did. My mom's great. My mom was like, we gotta walk around the block. We gotta do something. When we were literally just sitting in our house, she's like, we gotta do something. So I think we made it work. But yeah,
like that. It's like you just had to, yeah. And it took a lot of bandwidth, because obviously, I stopped doing anything online because I was just seeing clients all day because people were in such need. And then you're trying to help your kids feel better. And Julie and I know each other. We're from the same town, and we did theater. I was the mom in the theater that Julie was in. That's how I know her. And we have the same alma mater as well, Mercy High School. So, yeah. So, that I have kids too around your age.
Yeah. And I'm sure there were tears shed.
Thing. We were like, come on, let's get out,
Yeah. And I have a older sister, but she lives in DC. She's much older. And she did come home for a little bit, but for a while she was still working in DC, and it was just me and my parents. I was like, please, I just need somebody my age to speak to. Like, it was just such a, like, I'm an extroverted person too. It was just such a weird social, time for me. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was really terrible. And did humor play into, like, how did your mom took you on walks or try to get you going, and she knew the struggles you were going through, I assume then.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. And then, like, how did humor play out, not only in creating it or being humor for other people, but did you use it for yourself too?
Yeah, I think there's like really, you gotta laugh. Like that's the only way you're gonna like make it through anything. That's how I deal with literally anything, is making a new joke, laugh about it. And I think sometimes back to that when we were like completely in lockdown and it was just me and my parents, and I was like, we probably laughed at some dumb stuff and we were just trying to make it one day at a time. So yeah, we use humor all the time. We still
Are they
do.
funny too? They're funny too?
What'd you say?
Parents are funny too?
Oh my God, my parents are hilarious.
Oh, okay. So
I
you
get a
get,
lot of my humor from my dad for sure.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
I gotta get him to make a TikTok. I think that would break
yeah.
in the dough.
Yeah. Yeah. So so I know that, you were talking about creating content. It's good. You had this new platform. Did it also make your self-judgment go up because you're like, everyone's looking, I gotta do my best, or, there's negative comments, there's positive comments. How did that play into everything?
I've had a really fortunate experience on TikTok. I know that the internet can be a terrible place. I have received overwhelmingly more positive comments than negative.
That's
I
good.
very rarely get negative comments and almost never comments on my appearance, which I think is what would damage me the most. But I occasionally get like, oh wow, a woman that is funny, which I like, okay. And I get like, the occasional like she's annoying, I don't know, comments, but I get pretty positive feedback, and I have like, I don't know, I think just the audience that I have is like very like kind, and so I've been very fortunate in that regard. So the negativity is not something I like experience to a huge extent.
Are you prepped for it? Because as you get bigger and bigger, it does happen to people.
Yeah, and I also know that I'm like a chatterbox loudmouth who's gonna say something one of these days that people aren't gonna like. So I kind of am like prepped for that. But I don't know. It's like those voices that are negative are so few and far between that I am kind of able to step back and be like, okay, but look at all these people that had something nice to say. So yeah.
Yeah, and then not give them power.
Yeah, I try.
You have to give those guys power. Let them take over, or you affect us a lot. If someone was negative, we have to allow that in,
Yeah.
Like that. I guess that sounded bad. It sounded like you have all the control. It's not okay that people are negative, but
I personally don't think I give like negative comments a whole lot of power. I try to just brush by them. Once in a while, I'm like, now why would they say that? I have gotten a couple comments a lot lately. It's been that my nose is crooked, which I'm like, okay, like what am I supposed to do about that? So I'm like, all right, I'll turn this into something funny later. But like, I don't know. I try not to let it get to me.
that's really great. That's really great. Yeah. People are going to be unkind sometimes. It's like their own misery is kind of overflowing onto whatever they can hit around them, I guess, But
yeah, and I think, the internet's just, when you're behind a screen, a lot more goes, I think. But again, very fortunate. I received mainly positive comments.
it's great. I'm so glad. I'm so glad they have a great.
I'm glad too.
I mean, it's you who've cultivated it, and you who've attracted the people who are nice and looking for humor and looking for like somebody real, someone real to relate to.
That I'm real. I've been told by my friends that the way that I talk online is like exactly how I talk in real life. Obviously not like the second. I'm a little more professional at the moment, but yeah, I've been told by people in real life that I act the same, which like I really love, because I'm trying to be authentic. I'm trying not to be like, oh, I met her in real life and she's so rude. Like I would never want that. I want to be as much myself as I can. I think people find me, I mean, I think there's a degree of like masking in every situation you're in. I think, depending on who I'm with, depends how I talk, but I'm hoping that I'm pretty true to the persona that I portray online.
Yeah, I feel like you're the same as when I knew you. Just hysterical. You've always
I-
been.
Thank you. I'm glad you say that because I would hope that that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, I saw Julia on some shows and like you just like just facial expressions are just hysterical. But the things you brought to characters is you just brought yourself or your sense of humor there. So it's really nice.
That's so nice. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so funny. So I mean, we still talk about some scenes. Anyway, when you were the police officer with the mustache.
Oh, you saw that one? That was 4 years ago today.
Was it? Oh my
It was. It just popped up in my like Snapchat. I was like, no way.
hysterical. Just this.
Yeah, that was the good old days.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how it's just sometimes it's the facial expression that does everything. Really good. You're going to be very successful.
Oh,
All right, let me look at my list of questions and see what else I want to. Do you do any? What are your self-care habits that you use to keep yourself feeling good? Despite
I would disclaimer that self-care is not my strongest suit. Because I again struggled a lot with my eating habits. So if you asked me like a couple years ago what my self-care habits would be, I'd be like sitting down with a pint of ice cream, but now I'm trying not to do that. So
I'm thinking of that cheese and crackers video that you did.
I love cheese and crackers. That's a great comfort. That's my self-care, cheese and crackers. No, I think in the last like maybe year or so, I think my self-care is getting outside. Not to say that's something that I do often and well, but I do always feel better after. And I'm like, because especially, so there are days here where I'm in New York and I sometimes don't leave my apartment. If I don't have class or something, because it's like really hard to leave my cozy apartment, especially with this weather. So I'm like, let me just go to the post office. Let me just pick up lunch today instead of, let me just get dressed and leave the house, which is that self-care or is that the bare minimum? I don't know.
It sounds like mom did. It's like move, like you just have to
just move,
shift the energy a little bit.
Yeah. And again, not the best at it. So there are days when I do not go outside or I go outside in my pajamas and I'm walking to the bagel store on the corner. But, yeah, I don't know. I always feel better the days when I am able to make myself do something.
And then you sing too.
I do. I'm in an a cappella group at college.
Does singing help? Like it opens your heart kind of, if you were sad and then you went to rehearsal or something, how does it affect you?
Normally, yes. However, this year I have become the president of my group and discovered that I'm not a very great in a leadership role. I'm not a natural born leader. So sometimes the singing gets a little stressful because I'm like in charge of it all, but I still love it. Yeah. That is such a form of like, just something to release, it's cathartic. I love it. I love the girls that I sing with.
Like you could cry or you could sing.
Right. No, but sometimes I'm like, oh man, I gotta make a calendar. I gotta schedule all this out. Sometimes it's hard. I'm not the best organizer.
That is, it's nice to know what you're good at and then only do those things
what you're not.
Also push the edge of where you're comfortable and try something.
Yeah, I get a lot of help from the girls in my group. They're great. I'm like, can someone do this for me, please? Because I can't figure it out. So they're great. But yeah, my a cappella group has like completely transformed my college experience because it's something that it's a hobby that I've done since I was a kid and it's something that I love. And so, yeah, definitely self-care to be with those girls.
Is it a nice community? Like you're kind of together?
So great. It's the best group of people. Yeah, I've been part of the group for like 4 years and it's like tight enough that we, are very small and tight knit. And then we also we try to hang out like almost every day. I think we're like, who's going to the dining hall at this time? So yeah, it's like such a sense of community.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. That was
huge difference.
That's what people lacked really during the lockdown.
Absolutely. I think back to like COVID, when it was COVID and I did come back to school. And then it was my a cappella group, and I hated it. I dreaded it because we did it online. You can't sing with a group online.
No, on Zoom, like they mute people if you're singing together.
You can't do it. So that was like so frustrating because it was like we were trying to make something happen and it just wasn't happening, and it wasn't giving me that like fulfilling love that I wanted. And so that was a struggle. But
what about like masked shows?
Yeah, terrible.
Rough.
Just what you'd think they are. Terrible.
Really rough. Really rough.
I also beatbox sometimes in my group. So beatboxing into a mask, a lot of spit. Terrible.
Yeah. Would you just have to put your like hand under it?
Like pull it up and then just like take a breath and go back in. Horrible.
Oh, that's hysterical. Okay. So let's talk social media for a second. How do you think that's affecting people, Generation Z?
Oh man. Well, I'm in a class right now called social media. So this is all I've talked about for the last like 3 weeks. It's tough because it's so you kind of choose how you present. So that can lead to a lot of identity issues, I'd say, and like insincerity. I don't know if that's a word.
Mm-hmm. It is, and yes, it's appropriate.
Okay. Great, cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. I obviously can't say too much bad about it because it's been great for me. It's really helped me and found my path where what I want to make my career out of, kind of thing. So there's so many positives to me, but I know it's not the case for everybody, and I know that it can be a struggle. And I one of my best friends has no social media, and I don't know how she does it, but I like to think she's happy with her decision. So I don't know. It's
I feel like there's a pendulum swinging sometimes. There's some people that are really like protesting and like saying, I'm done. I find that
I know myself really well, and I know that I am not. Like, there are people who are obsessed, and I'm obviously on my phone and on social media quite a bit. It's how I pay my rent. But I personally think that I do a pretty good job of reaching a point where I put the phone down. And you know, I
come to that, or was that you always did that? Did you have to come to realize that I got to put my phone down?
I think I've always really valued like face-to-face anything. I like going places. I'm a doer. I like talking to people, being with my friends, not just texting them. So I think I've always kind of been like that, but I think I don't want to sound like a crotchety old like adult where it's like, put your phone down, kids. But I think that's probably a struggle is what's just on the screen and what's real, especially after COVID. That was real was what was on the screen.
Right.
And that I think set us back a little bit. But I'm personally obviously very pro social media because I think it has really helped like expanded my opportunities.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of positive messages, that there's a lot of entertainment on there that I think
it also offers community for a lot of people. I think I see a lot of, I don't know, just very accepting content on TikTok. I mean, yeah, there's obviously terrible stuff too, but there's entire like TikTok pages dedicated to like certain issues, and I think it's a place to find community. I mean, even with the TikTok algorithm, the way it gives you videos that you like based on what you've liked and viewed in the past. Now I get videos that are like my sense of humor specifically, and then the comments are all people with my sense of humor, and the videos are all things I want to see. It's a little bit like of community.
Yeah.
So I think there's positives.
Like what you watch, you'll get more of.
Yeah. Oh, there's like a whole science to how the algorithm works that I don't even understand. But yeah, I see so much of like stuff that is so personal to me. And it's like, I enjoy it because to me, it's like, makes me feel like there are people like me.
Yeah. So it could be very connecting. I would have to agree. It depends on what you're watching. There's just so much out there, and you could watch stuff that feels like it tears you down or it contributes to you not feeling good. And then there's so much out there that could lift you up and make you feel
There's so much out there that could lift you up, and there's so much out there that could tear you down.
Yeah. So we could choose what we're going to watch.
Yeah. I think that there's, again, I can't stress how I've been very fortunate. I don't experience a ton of the negative stuff, but there is also like a very dangerous side to social media. Both literally and just figuratively.
It played into your eating problems when was that new at COVID, or you had some stuff before?
No, I've always struggled with the way I looked, but COVID definitely like just exasperated things. I think I would be fooling myself if I said that social media didn't play any part in the way that I have problems, like body image problems. Obviously just the things you see, the content that you consume is all beauty standards and stuff. But then again, I also like, there's another side that I think isn't talked about a ton, because I like personally I always call myself mid-size. I'm not quite skinny, I'm not quite plus size. So I like, there's a mid-size community on TikTok, and it's, here's what jeans fit me best, and here's where I shop. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, I really appreciate that, because now there's people that like, they're wearing things that they look good in, and I wear it and I look good in it. I feel good. So there's obviously so much like content that is terrible and detrimental to your own body image, but I've personally found stuff that has helped me. I think it's out there. It's out there. I know that a lot of people from not my generation are so anti everything, but it's I don't know. It's helped me. And I like recently I have been trying to get into more sustainable clothes and sustainable shopping. And so the community for that is like massive, helping me figure out what to buy and what to wear. And I don't know. I think
I love that. Yeah. It's like, what do you put out there? I mean, I love social media too, because I put a lot of things out there on social media, and then, and I get back what I put out there as well, or what I'm paying attention to.
Yeah, I think so.
Yours after my own soul too, because I love recycled, upcycled clothes.
I've been trying to get better. I'm still not like the best, but I've been trying.
Yeah, I'll go here. This is the recycled top right here.
Oh, nice. This is not recycled. This is from Old Navy. So
I love Poshmark. I'm going to advertise for Poshmark.
Yeah, I do. I try to like thrift and whatever if I can.
Oh yeah, you can get Poshmark to sponsor you maybe.
Hey.
3 times.
Hey, maybe.
That's great. Well, it's been so great. So you have a new podcast coming out. Tell me why you're going into the podcasting world.
Yeah, I have a film internship right now in production, and then the more I've done it, I'm like, oh, maybe I kind of want to be the person, like, not necessarily just producing it. I think I kind of want to be like doing it all. So I've always wanted to do a podcast. People have been wanting me to do a podcast where it's just like comedy and storytelling. And so that's the goal. It's coming out sometime this spring. I still have to solidify my schedule a little bit. But yeah, it's just going to be comedians coming on to join me. And we're talking about hyperfixations every episode, which every episode will be
different hyperfixation.
Yeah, every episode is going to be like a new weird niche topic that you just like for some reason know a ton about.
I love that.
Yeah, it's going to be very goofy, very silly. Hopefully getting some familiar faces on there. And yeah, it's coming out sometime this spring, the Pesto Pod.
The Pesto Pod. Oh, that is very exciting. Yeah. I think I mostly listen to comedians on TikTok and podcasts. I mean, we need laughter so bad. You know, I hear people's trauma all day long. And so.
Yeah, you probably are like, please make me laugh, somebody.
People, please. Yeah. and it does look. So that's cool. The Pod podcast. Wait, did I say that?
The Pesto Pod.
Oh, the Pesto Pod. I knew that. Pesto.
That's okay.
Where did the name More Pesto Please come from? Did you tell us?
I love pesto. I love it on everything. and there's a deli on my campus that I would always be like, can I get more pesto, please? Because they would be so stingy with the pesto. And then my friends made fun of me for it, and thus, more pesto, please. Something I say quite often.
Yeah, it is. It's like more Julia Leahy, please.
That's the idea.
More laughs, more, pointing out the ridiculousness of life, because we need that to come back down to, from. I do. I feel like it might sound that I'm just like, oh, everyone's fine. No, we are struggling so much. And that's why I'm putting this podcast out, to really try to show young people that they can get better. Like, this is not a life sentence now. And it's not that COVID didn't affect them so deeply and hurt them. And really the collective trauma and the personal trauma of going through that time has been really huge. But there is a way to recover and to understand why that happened, so that you can navigate your way out, instead of like blaming yourself for like, I messed up because I'm weak or something like that. And I think that's my message I want to tell people. So I really appreciate your candor and your frankness and really being open about what you've gone through. I didn't know what we'd end up talking about today, but I really appreciate, I think that's helpful to people to see that, I don't know, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're a human living this life, and it's hard.
Yeah. And I think that despite it being challenging times, it's also like a great time for getting the help that everyone needs. I think like anxiety and stuff like that has never been more talked about than it is now. Help has never been more accessible. So in some ways it's a good time to be addressing those kind of things.
Yeah. And there's a lot of ways to help yourself. And I know sometimes it seems like there's not many therapists out there, or no one's taking new clients, but keep looking, because there are some, maybe they're just not on the directories, or they don't have good SEO, but I promise you there's some. Keep asking, keep searching, and there are people available. So, well, thanks, Julia. Anything else you want to tell? Any tips or anything else you want to tell us before we sign off today?
I don't think so. I'm more pesto, please, on TikTok. Go follow. And
go follow Julia. Yeah. Laughs, and to just
and a bunch
get out of your own head and see silliness.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's what you got, and you're giving it. And also, Pesto Pod podcast coming out soon in the spring. Really going to look for that too. All right, thanks, Julia.
Thank you.
Your day. Have a great weekend, and maybe we'll come back on again.
Yeah. Thank you.